Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing another round of reacting to random book synopses. If you're new here and you've never seen this and you wonder what the hell is going on, this is a weird little thing that I do every once in a while. I take books that I've heard about from other booktubers or that were sent to me or that I happen to stumble upon on Goodreads or StoryGraph somehow and react to the synopses. These are typically things that sound really out there, really interesting, maybe a little cringy. You never really know. So yeah, that's the best way that I can explain it to you, and I know that didn't really say much, but just stick around. So the first book that we have today is Her Night with the Duke by Diana Quincy. This looks like it's the first in a series, and judging by the cover, I'm gonna say that it is a historical romance. I don't know if you can hear sirens, but sorry about that. So it says, desire knows no reason when it finds two destined hearts. When Lady Delilah Chambers finds herself stranded at a country inn on a rain-swept evening, she's forced to fend off a group of ruffians with the help of a handsome gentleman. Irresistibly drawn to each other, Leela, I guess that's the nickname for Delilah, and the strangers spend one reckless night in each other's arms and then go their separate ways. But the very next day, Leela receives the shock of her life when she meets the Duke, who is set on wedding her beloved stepdaughter. Where are my glasses? All right, I can see. Where was I? One night isn't enough with a woman as fierce, fiery, and brilliant as Leela. Elliot Townsend, Duke of Huntington, cannot believe his good fortune when their chance encounter leads to an unforgettable evening of passion. Yet Hunt, I guess his nickname is Hunt because he's the Duke of Huntington. Okay. Yet Hunt's luck runs out when he's introduced to his prospective mother-in-law. Dowagers aren't supposed to look like this. Leela and Hunt are determined to keep each other at arm's length, which should be easy enough for two intelligent adults with reputations to uphold. The problem is all logic is lost when it comes to passion that refuses to be ignored. So he's engaged and is out having a one-night stand. Obviously, I have an issue with that. But also, like, how y'all expect to keep this a secret? And if you love your stepdaughter, why would you be okay with her marrying someone who is clearly going to cheat on her or who clearly has already? The next book that we have is called Harbor by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This one looks like it is the third in a series called Beards in Bondage. Betrayed and set adrift. Months before she's set to walk down the aisle, Assistant District Attorney Brooklyn Lewis suffers an unthinkable loss. It's bad enough her fiancé was violently taken from her, but along with her grief, she must also process the fact that the man of her dreams was unfaithful. Friends and family want to see her heal, but Brooklyn doesn't know how to move on from trauma and deception until she discovers she's not the only one broken by this tragedy. A light in the storm. Attorney Vaughn Coleman and his partner Chris Shaw have also lost the love of their lives, who was found lifeless in the same bed as Brooklyn's fiancé, taken from them by the same killer. Unmoored by grief, Brooklyn, Chris, and Vaughn fall into a relationship that both fulfills them and threatens to pull them under the waves of guilt. But they soon realize it may take the love of three people to bring their battered ships back to shore. And then there's a little note that says this romance features polyamorous relationship between two men and a woman with BDSM overtones. Okay, so y'all know I'm not a huge fan of romance, and frankly, that's not even the most appealing part to me. I want to know what the fiance and this woman were involved in that got them killed and just like exposed the little affair that they were having. That's what I want to know. But this is the third in a series, so let me look at the first book. The first book is called Haven, but it looks like it's about different people. So maybe it's not like a chronological series. Maybe it's like the Brown sisters where they're kind of like companion novels. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I am slightly intrigued by that just because I want to know what happened. Not necessarily for the romance part because I'm just not a huge fan of romance. Although I've never read a polyamorous romance, so I don't know how I would feel about that. All right. The next book is called Sharing Noelle by Margot Scott. My hot stepbrother, his gorgeous dad, an impossible choice. Okay. With my dad and his wife honeymooning over Christmas, I assume I'll be celebrating the holidays alone. That is until my new stepbrother, a sex god sous chef with a smile that melts panties like butter, invites me to spend the weekend at his dad's log cabin resort. Thirsting after my much older stepbrother is bad enough. Falling head over heels in lust with his lumberjack dad is just plain greedy. The only thing these stubborn men can agree on is that they both want me. I can't imagine saying no to one of them, so I won't. When they ask me what I want for Christmas, I'll be honest. One man isn't enough for me, I want them both. And then there's a note from the author that says, cozy up with this forbidden Christmas and New Year's Eve romance, featuring two scorching hot dominant alphas who also happen to be father and son. This steamy read is fast, filthy, and jam-packed with age gap holiday insta-love and a guaranteed happily ever after for all. Okay, I know they're not blood relatives, but like, step-siblings are still siblings. Because it'd be weird, like, because your parents are married, and I just don't see that ending well. Like, I don't see anybody taking that well. And the only other book that I read that had something similar to that was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. No. Was it Ugly Love? Yes. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, and I hated that book because I don't like anything that Colleen Hoover writes, but also it was just like a weird family dynamic and like so much drama. So I don't see how that works out. But then my other question is like, so are they like taking turns, or is this like a threesome situation? Because I feel like you shouldn't have sexual encounters with your parent or child. That just, you know, I don't know about that one. The next one is called My First Time with My Dad's Boss by Sienna Swan. I've wanted Mason work forever, but when he fires my dad after a lifetime of dedicated work, it turns into so much more. I'll do whatever it takes to make Mason reconsider his decision and offer my dad his job back. I'll give him anything he wants, including the only asset I really have worth anything, my virginity. Yes, you heard that right. I'm going to offer Mason Work, billionaire boss of Work Industries, my actual first time in exchange for my dad's reinstatement. Crazy, sure, but not nearly as crazy as the moment when he takes me up on my offer. I feel like if the dad found out, that would be really, really bad. I honestly don't know what to think about that. I don't know, but it's only like 100 pages. So if anybody's interested. Okay, this next book is called Have My Baby by Taryn Quinn, and it looks like it is the first in a series. Have my baby. That's what my single dad best friend Seth said to me while I was waitressing at the diner. His little girl wants a sibling, but Seth is a workaholic millionaire and doesn't have time to meet someone who won't screw him over like his kid's mother. Only problem is this someone has secretly been in love with him since high school. I've been hiding it forever, not wanting to risk our friendship. Sleeping with him is my biggest fantasy, and I fantasize plenty being a virgin, another thing he doesn't know. Now I have to make the biggest decision of my life. Is having a no strings attached affair just to make a baby better than never having him at all? And then there's an author note that says, this case of insta-love and instant naked time has been brewing for over a decade. Baby making has never been so hot or so funny or so complicated. Have My Baby is a standalone rom-com with a romantic HEA ending and no cliffhanger. I feel like that's a big ask, you know? Like, I already don't want kids, so like this would never happen to me. But like if your guy friend just like came up to you and was like, yo, have my baby. Like, what, sir? Sir. Like, that's a huge deal. And then it doesn't even seem like she's really interested in having the child. She just wants to fuck him, which I don't know if that's a good idea. And then it says he doesn't have time to meet someone. So does he really have time for 2 kids? I have questions about the logistics here. Okay, last book for today, and it's called Trapped with the Mob Boss by Nicole Fox. And it looks like it is the first in a series called The Russian Crime Brotherhood. I kidnapped her to break her. Now I'll do whatever it takes to protect her. I have some questions already. In this business, you cannot afford to lose control. No emotions, no weakness. I've worked too fucking hard building my mob empire to let one feisty little girl ruin everything. But Bella refuses to fall in line. I push my prisoner to her limits, and yet she will not break. She takes every savage kiss, every cruel touch, and asks me if that's all I have to offer. Breaking her down will require breaking my one rule: never ever fall in love. But when Bella's senator father doesn't follow orders like we expect, things get more complicated. I'll need her help to take my rightful place on the throne of the city. And more time with her by my side means unleashing something inside me that cannot be contained again. As our fates become entwined, betrayal barrels towards us, I'm forced to make an impossible choice. Do I follow my destiny to become the mob boss I was raised to be, or do I sacrifice everything to save the woman who has stolen my heart? And then there's a note that says a Russian mob boss kidnaps a senator's daughter in this full-length standalone bad boy mafia heist romance from author Nicole Fox. Once again, I have questions. So this is a question for my romance readers. And my first question is, does this fall into the category of dark romance since she was kidnapped first, and I'm assuming that a romance ensues from there? It also kind of sounds like he's abusing her since she's a hostage and they're trying to get her dad to do whatever it is that they want him to do. And just like in situations like that, how do you root for the romance? I can't see that happening. And I don't understand how he's managed to fall in love with her somehow. And is her dad like not trying to save her? Like, is he not doing anything? Is that what he means when he says that he's not following orders like they expected? I also don't like that he called her a little girl. I'm assuming she's an adult, or at least I hope so. So yeah, if you were a romance reader and you read dark romance, let me know how that's supposed to work, because I couldn't imagine reading something like this and wanting the romance to actually work out, you know? But maybe that's just me. I'm also not a romance person, as we all know. So I'm just curious how that works though. All right, so those are all of the synopses that we're gonna read today. I think all of them were romance. If you ever come across a synopsis that you would like me to react to, feel free to send it to me on any of my social media platforms, which are all linked below as usual. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.